Imagine waking up one morning, grabbing your phone, and seeing a notification that makes your jaw drop. The Lakers, one of the most storied franchises in all of professional sports, are linked to not one, but potentially two major names. A 23-year-old athletic freak who's been bounced around the league like a pinball. And a 36-year-old scoring machine who's been doing this longer than some NBA players have been alive. And here's the wildest part. This all started because the greatest player of his generation just walked out the door. LeBron James. Gone. Just like that. And now the Los Angeles Lakers are scrambling, plotting, and scheming to rebuild around a skinny European kid from Slovenia who shoots threes with the confidence of a man who's never missed a shot in his life. This is the story of the Lakers' 2026 offseason, and it is absolutely insane. Stay with me, because by the time this is over, you're going to understand everything. The drama, the money, the desperation, the hope, and just why two names, Jonathan Kuminga and DeMar DeRozan, are the ones that could define what Los Angeles becomes next. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. It's a Tuesday morning in early July 2026. The NBA calendar has just flipped to what's known as the free agency window. This is the moment every team has been waiting for. Phones are ringing. Agents are texting. Executives are making back-channel calls in hotel lobbies and private lounges. It's the most chaotic, exciting, unpredictable 48 hours in all of basketball. And then it hits. LeBron James, King James, tells the Los Angeles Lakers that he is done. He's not retiring. He's continuing his career. But it won't be in Los Angeles. After 8 seasons in purple and gold. After one championship in 2020, where they won the bubble title in the weirdest year any of us have ever lived through. After all the billboards, the jerseys, the sold-out arenas, the memes, the "is LeBron better than Jordan" debates that lasted for about 4 straight years on sports radio, LeBron James is leaving the Lakers. Just like that. And the Lakers front office, led by Pelinka, has exactly one choice. Keep breathing and figure out what comes next. Now, here's what's really fascinating about this moment. Because this isn't a team that falls apart in a panic. Within 1 hour, 60 minutes, of LeBron's announcement, the Lakers' Governor Jeannie Buss has already released a statement thanking LeBron for his time. Warm, gracious, professional. No drama. No ugly breakup. Just a chapter closing. And then the Lakers do something remarkable. They do nothing. For almost a full day. While the rest of the NBA is going absolutely bonkers, teams signing players, making trades, throwing money at every available free agent, the Lakers just sit there. Holding. Waiting. Watching. And casual fans everywhere are going, what is going on? The most famous team in basketball just lost LeBron James and they're doing nothing. But here's the thing. They're not doing nothing. They're waiting for the right moment. They're holding their cards. They're about to play their hand. Because the next morning, in the span of about 35 minutes, the Los Angeles Lakers completely transformed their franchise. Not in days. Not in weeks. 35 minutes. First comes the Walker-Kessler trade. The Utah Jazz agree to send their young 7'2" rim-protecting center to the Lakers in exchange for a massive haul of draft picks, 2 unprotected first-rounders in 2031 and 2033, plus 2 pick swaps. And the Lakers also sign Kessler to a 4-year, $130 million contract. That's not a typo. $130 million for a young man who missed almost the entire previous season with a shoulder injury. But Luka Doncic had been very clear about what he wanted. He told the front office, "Give me an elite rim protector in the middle. A real center. Someone who blocks shots and catches lobs and protects the paint." Doncic had been playing with this roster that could score but couldn't protect the basket, and he was done with it. He wanted Kessler. And the Lakers delivered. Then, in those same 35 minutes, the Lakers sign Austin Reeves to a 4-year, $185 million deal. Not $15 million. Not $30 million. $185 million for a kid who went undrafted. Let that sink in. 4 years ago, Austin Reeves couldn't get an NBA team to spend a draft pick on him. Now he's signing the richest contract ever given to an undrafted player in NBA history. That's the story of this league. That's the beauty of basketball. You just never know. And in those same 35 wild minutes, the Lakers add Quentin Grimes on a 4-year, $60 million deal, Sandro Mamukelashvili on a 4-year, $52 million contract, and Colin Sexton on a 2-year deal worth about $19 million. Then they flip DeAndre Ayton for a young player named Jaden Hardy plus a couple second-round picks, just to keep moving pieces around and building depth. All of this. 35 minutes. The Lakers have officially entered the Luka Doncic era. The LeBron chapter is over. The future is the Slovenian maestro who plays basketball like he's been doing this since before he could walk. Because honestly, if you've seen his story, you know that's basically true. Here's where we take a breath and zoom out. Because what the Lakers have built so far is genuinely impressive. But there's a hole. A visible, obvious, gaping hole in this roster. They need a wing. Not just any wing. A big, athletic, versatile wing who can guard multiple positions, score with some efficiency, and fit alongside Luka and Reeves without getting in the way. Rui Hachimura, who had spent 4 years with the franchise and had the best postseason of his career, is now a free agent and he's signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. Marcus Smart, gone to Houston. Jackson Hayes, then. The Lakers are left with a front court that needs help badly, and a wing rotation that's thin, young, and unproven. Enter Jonathan Kuminga. If you don't know this name, let me paint you a picture of this player. Because his story is one of the most fascinating in the entire NBA, and honestly, it's a story that doesn't get told enough. Jonathan Kuminga was born in Goma, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in October of 2002. He started playing basketball at the age of 2, which sounds like an exaggeration but is apparently just the truth. He grew up in one of the most challenging environments imaginable, in a country where infrastructure and opportunity aren't always easy to come by, and he used basketball as his ladder to a different life. At 14 years old, Jonathan Kuminga moved to the United States to pursue his basketball dream. 14 years old. Think about that. 14 years old in a new country with a new language. Because yes, his first language is French, trying to navigate American high school basketball culture, which is its own entire universe of pressure and politics and recruitment drama. He went to Huntington Prep in West Virginia. Then Our Savior New American in New York. Then the Patrick School in New Jersey. He was bouncing around, refining his game, growing into his body, and turning heads everywhere he went. And after his junior year of high school, Kuminga made a massive decision. He was done with the traditional path. He wasn't going to college. He wasn't going to spend a year or two in the NCAA system. Instead, he reclassified and joined something called the NBA G League Ignite, a program designed to give elite prospects a direct developmental path to the NBA without the detour of college basketball. And he absolutely thrived there. Over 13 games with the Ignite, Kuminga averaged nearly 16 points and over 7 rebounds a game. He was raw. He was powerful. He was explosively athletic. He was only 18 years old and he was already looking like something special. In the 2021 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors selected Jonathan Kuminga with the 7th overall pick. And on October 30, 2021, he made his NBA debut, scoring 3 points in a win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was 18 years old. And he was a warrior. Here's the thing about landing in Golden State. On paper, it sounds incredible. You're joining a dynasty. You're going to practice and play alongside Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter in the history of the game. You're learning from Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. You're in an organization that knows how to win, knows how to develop players, and knows how to win big games in big moments. But the flip side of that is, you're trying to crack a starting lineup that already has some of the most famous, accomplished players on earth. You're going to spend time on the bench. You're going to have stretches where you wonder if you're actually getting better or just treading water. That's the double-edged sword of joining a contender as a young player trying to find your footing. And in his first year, Kuminga mostly came off the bench. He played solid minutes, showed flashes of the player he could become, and did something that only a small number of players in NBA history have ever done. He won an NBA championship as a rookie. At 19 years and 253 days old, Jonathan Kuminga was a champion. He became the second youngest NBA champion in history. Think about that legacy. 20 years from now, no matter what happens in his career, nobody can ever take away the fact that Jonathan Kuminga won a ring before he was old enough to buy a beer in the United States. But championships are funny things for young players. They give you incredible validation. They also give you the feeling that you've arrived, that you're part of something, that you belong, even when the numbers and the minutes don't fully reflect your role yet. Over the next few seasons in Golden State, Kuminga kept developing. He had big games, 34 points against the Clippers, a perfect shooting night against Atlanta where he tied a Warriors franchise record for most made field goals without a miss. But he also had stretches of inconsistency. He fell in and out of the rotation. He had conflict with the coaching staff about his role. And by the summer before the 2025-26 season, the relationship between Kuminga and the Warriors had become genuinely tense. He was a restricted free agent coming off his rookie contract. Teams were interested. The Sacramento Kings were reportedly very aggressive about trying to sign him. His agent was pushing for a maximum contract. We're talking $30 million a year territory. And the Warriors kept making offers that Kuminga's camp felt were too low, too disrespectful of what they believed his potential was worth. The whole thing dragged on for months. Weeks turned into the summer crept toward training camp, and still, no deal. The Warriors couldn't make other moves because they had cap space tied up waiting on Kuminga. It was a frustrating standoff for everyone involved. Finally, at the very end of September, literally during training camp, Jonathan Kuminga signed a 2-year deal with Golden State worth about $46 million, with a team option in the second year. It wasn't the supermax deal his camp had been chasing. It wasn't the number they wanted. But it was a deal, and Kuminga was officially back with the Warriors. And then the 2025-26 season started, and almost immediately, things went sideways. Kuminga played in 20 games. He started 13 of them. He averaged 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Not bad numbers. But the relationship between him and the Warriors organization felt rocky. There were reports of frustration about his role, questions about his fit in the system, and whispers about whether Steve Kerr and Kuminga were really on the same page. And then on February 5, 2026, the trade deadline hit. The Warriors sent Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. Just like that, Kuminga's chapter in Golden State was over. After nearly 5 seasons after the championship, after all the ups and downs and the contract drama and the growth, he was on a plane to Atlanta. He made his debut for the Hawks on February 24th, coming off the bench and exploding for 27 points on 9 of 12 shooting, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, in 24 minutes. A statement game. This is what you gave away, kind of performance. But the Hawks were in rebuild mode, and Kuminga knew it. He averaged about 12.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists over 16 games with Atlanta. He was decent. He showed flashes. But everyone knew this was a temporary arrangement, a placeholder chapter in a story that was still searching for its proper setting. When the season ended, the Hawks had a decision to make. They held a $24.3 million team option on Kuminga for next year. In June of 2026, they declined it. Jonathan Kuminga, for the very first time in his professional career, was an unrestricted free agent. No restrictions. No matching rights held by anyone. Free to sign wherever he wanted, for whatever deal he could find. And immediately, multiple teams started circling. The Sacramento Kings, who had been chasing Kuminga for years, started making calls. The Cleveland Cavaliers were reportedly interested. The Chicago Bulls were linked. Various teams across the league began doing their homework on the 23-year-old athletic wing who had never fully unlocked his ceiling. But the team that kept coming up, the team whose name kept appearing in every Kuminga report, was the Los Angeles Lakers. Let me explain why the Kuminga to Lakers connection makes so much sense when you map it out on the basketball court. Luka Doncic is a genius with the ball. He creates offense the way a chess grandmaster creates checkmates, with patience, angles, misdirection, and the ability to see moves that other people haven't even imagined yet. But Luka needs certain things around him to really thrive. He needs shooters to space the floor so defenses can't cram the paint. He needs playmakers who can operate without needing the ball in their hands constantly. And he needs athletes, real explosive athletes, who can finish above the rim on lobs, beat defenders off the bounce when Luka kicks the ball out, and play above-average defense to compensate for the fact that Luka and Reeves aren't going to be winning any Defensive Player of the Year awards. Jonathan Kuminga checks almost all of those boxes. He's built like a tank, 6'5", 230 pounds of raw muscle and explosiveness. He can catch lobs and finish at the rim at an elite level. He can create his own shot off the dribble. He can guard multiple positions. And at 23 years old, he's barely scratched the surface of what he can become. He would be the perfect physical complement to what the Lakers are trying to build around Luka. A young, powerful wing who can do the dirty work, make plays above the rim, and grow into a legitimate third star over the next few years. So why hasn't the deal happened yet? Money. It always comes back to money. Here's the problem. The Lakers are what's called hard-capped after their big spending spree. The Kessler deal, the Reeves deal, the other signings, they've bumped up against the first apron of the luxury tax, which puts limits on exactly what they can offer in certain contract situations. Their most straightforward path to signing Kuminga would be a deal around $10 million per year, significantly below what Kuminga and his agent believe he should be earning. Kuminga's camp, led by agent Aaron Turner, believes strongly in their client's market value. They're not just looking for whatever's available. They want fair compensation for a 23-year-old former lottery pick with championship experience, elite athleticism, and years of prime basketball still ahead of him. NBA insider Jake Fisher reported that Kuminga is looking for something north of that $25 million per year range that he made last season. And frankly, that makes complete sense from his perspective. Why would you take less than you just earned? Why would you go backwards? In what world does a 23-year-old with his upside agree to a discount? But here's the catch. Fisher also reported that Kuminga is open to various contract structures below his previous salary, depending on what kind of sign-and-trade scenarios emerge. He's not completely rigid. He's not saying, give me $30 million or I'm not coming. He's being realistic. He knows the market. He knows the Lakers have limitations. But he also knows his worth. And so the Lakers, knowing they can't just outright sign Kuminga with their own cap space, have been working the phones on a sign-and-trade scenario. The basic framework that's been reported: the Hawks sign Kuminga and then immediately trade him to the Lakers in exchange for Jared Vanderbilt and a 2032 first-round pick swap. The Atlanta Hawks reportedly are willing to execute this sign-and-trade. They're interested in potentially acquiring Vanderbilt, a physical, defensive-minded forward who provides toughness and energy, and they're intrigued by the pick swap as a long-term asset for a rebuilding team. But here's where the negotiations get complicated. Reports also indicate that the Hawks want more than just Vanderbilt and a pick swap. Atlanta knows the Lakers are desperate for a wing. They know that Kuminga's market is limited. Heavy Sports reported that there's not much of a market left for Kuminga if the Lakers don't come through. So the Hawks have leverage. They're using it. The Lakers control very few draft assets at this point. After shipping 2 first-rounders and 2 pick swaps to Utah for Kessler, they're basically down to 3 second-round picks and that 2032 first-round pick swap as their meaningful future assets. They don't have a lot to offer as sweeteners to make this deal more attractive. So multiple reports have suggested a third team may need to get involved. Maybe the Lakers can move one or more of Vanderbilt, Dalton Knecht, or Jaden Hardy to another team in order to create additional cap room or generate extra assets that could be packaged into the Kuminga deal. It's the basketball equivalent of a Rubik's Cube being solved underwater. Every piece you move affects 3 other pieces. And you're doing it with a ticking clock because free agency doesn't wait forever. What makes this so gripping to watch is that the people inside the Lakers organization clearly believe in Kuminga. It's not just front office executives making calls. Multiple members of the organization, including players, have reportedly reached out to Kuminga directly to express interest in having him join the team. That's unusual. That tells you how much they want this to happen. But Kuminga is being patient. He's not panicking. He's not going to take the first offer that comes his way just because he's eager to have a team. He's 23 years old. He has leverage. He has options. And his agent keeps reminding him that the right deal is worth waiting for. Every day that passes without a resolution adds a new layer of suspense to this saga. While the Kuminga drama is playing out, while the Lakers are trying to piece together this complex sign-and-trade puzzle, something else is happening on a completely parallel track. DeMar DeRozan just became available. Let me tell you about DeMar DeRozan. Because if you're younger and you grew up watching basketball in the past 5 or 6 years, maybe you know him as that veteran scorer or the mid-range specialist. But let me tell you what this man has actually done in this league over 17 seasons, because the numbers are staggering. DeMar DeRozan was born in Compton, California. He went to USC, the University of Southern California, and after 1 year of college basketball, he declared for the 2009 NBA draft. The Toronto Raptors selected him with the 9th overall pick. And then for 9 seasons, 9 years, DeRozan became the face of the Toronto Raptors franchise. He was their heart. He was their identity. He was the reason people showed up to Scotiabank Arena on winter nights in Canada to watch basketball. He made 5 All-Star teams as a Raptor. He became the franchise's all-time leading scorer. He loved Toronto. Toronto loved him. And then in 2018, in one of the most shocking trades in recent NBA history, the Raptors sent DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl to the San Antonio Spurs in exchange for Kawhi Leonard. DeRozan found out about the trade while he was on vacation. He was blindsided. Genuinely devastated. He had spent his entire adult basketball life in Toronto, had given everything to that organization, and in an instant, it was over. He spent 3 years in San Antonio, continuing to be the efficient, reliable, devastating mid-range scorer he'd always been. And then in 2021, he signed with the Chicago Bulls. And that's when the national media really woke up to just how good DeMar DeRozan still was. Because he went to Chicago and had arguably the best stretch of basketball of his entire career. He made all-star games. He won clutch game after clutch game with impossible mid-range pull-ups over outstretched arms. He was on back-to-back made All-NBA teams. He became the face of the Bulls' resurgence and reminded everyone watching that there are certain players whose skills don't age the way other skills do. Shooting is one of those skills. And DeRozan's mid-range game, that beautiful, old-school, elbow jumper, pull-up floater, step-back two-pointer art form, is as refined as any shot in the history of the game. In the summer of 2024, DeRozan joined the Sacramento Kings on a 3-year deal worth about $76 million. He was supposed to be the veteran star to help push Sacramento into playoff contention alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. But Sacramento fell apart almost immediately. De'Aaron Fox was traded away mid-season. The team went on a 16-game losing streak, the longest in franchise history. They finished 22-60 in the 2025-26 season. It was a disaster. Through all of it, DeRozan remained the same. Professional. Available. Steady. Averaging 18.4 points per game on nearly 50% shooting from the field. Playing in 77 of 82 games. Being the veteran presence in a locker room full of confusion and losing. The Kings tried to trade him. They called around the league. Nobody was willing to take on his $25.7 million contract for next season, especially since it was only partially guaranteed at $10 million. So on July 6, 2026, Sacramento and DeMar DeRozan worked out a mutual parting of ways. He was waived, released, set free onto the open market. And at 36 years old, turning 37 in August, DeMar DeRozan became one of the most coveted free agents in the entire league. Let's talk about the DeRozan to Lakers angle, because this one is fascinating and a little bit different from the Kuminga situation. The reports have been pretty clear about this. DeRozan is the backup plan. He's the safety valve. If the Lakers can pull off the Kuminga sign and trade and get their young, athletic wing, DeRozan probably goes somewhere else. But if the Kuminga deal falls through, if the numbers don't work, if the Hawks ask for too much, if Kuminga decides he'd rather go to Cleveland or Chicago, then the Lakers pivot hard to DeRozan. And honestly, it's not a bad fallback option at all. DeRozan on a veteran minimum deal, or something close to it, since the Kings are still paying part of his salary, would give the Lakers a reliable, experienced scorer who knows how to get his points in the half-court. He's not going to dunk on anyone. He's not going to guard the other team's best wing. But he can give you 18 to 20 points a night with the efficiency of a machine, and he can do it at age 36 the same way he did it at age 26. NBA insider Jake Fisher reported something really interesting. DeRozan's landing spot is almost certainly going to be a team that does not end up signing LeBron James. Because DeRozan's biggest market, the contenders who need a veteran scorer, is the same market LeBron is shopping in. Wherever LeBron goes, that team probably doesn't have the space or the roster need for DeRozan too. This creates a really interesting web. LeBron is looking for his final destination. DeRozan is looking for a contender to join. Kuminga is waiting for the right sign and trade to materialize. The Lakers are trying to manage all of these moving parts simultaneously while staying under their cap limits. One report that caught everyone's attention: DeRozan has expressed interest in a return to Toronto, going back to the team that traded him, the city that loved him, completing a full circle in a story that started there 17 years ago. The Raptors famously traded him to get Kawhi Leonard, won a championship, and now Leonard is back in Toronto. DeRozan going back would be one of the most poetic storylines in recent NBA memory. But realistically, most observers believe DeRozan ends up somewhere that makes more basketball sense for a contender. And the Lakers, sitting there with a roster built around Luka Doncic, are very much in that conversation. Let me step back for a moment and just appreciate what the Lakers are actually trying to do here. Because I think sometimes when we talk about free agency moves and trade rumors, we lose sight of the bigger picture. 1 week ago, 7 days ago, the Lakers were LeBron James' team. They were built around the greatest player of his generation. They had an identity, a hierarchy, a style of play. LeBron is the alpha. The entire organization revolves around LeBron. And now that era is completely, totally, irrevocably over. Luka Doncic is 27 years old. He is one of the 5 best basketball players on earth. He sees the game differently than almost anyone who has ever played it. He's the most unstoppable scoring and playmaking force since the prime version of LeBron himself. And the Lakers just watched him get swept out of the playoffs in the second round by the Oklahoma City Thunder. 4 games, 0 wins, a humiliating exit that made it clear this roster needs significant help. The Walker Kessler trade addresses one problem. Luka wanted a real center. A defensive anchor. Someone to protect the rim and catch his lobs. Kessler is that player when healthy, a 7'2" shot-blocking machine who had one of the most statistically impressive defensive seasons in recent memory before his shoulder injury. Austin Reeves at $185 million is the statement that says, "Luka, we're serious." It sends a message to Doncic that the organization is committed to building a winner around him, not just hoping things work out. It keeps the chemistry alive. Luka and Reeves have played well together and clearly have a good relationship. But the wing remains a problem. Quentin Grimes and Colin Sexton and Sandro Mamukelashvili are fine players. They are depth pieces, rotation guys. They're not the kind of player who changes the ceiling of a team in the playoffs. Kuminga would change that ceiling. A 23-year-old wing with championship experience, elite athleticism, and the potential to develop into a 20-plus per game scorer over the next 2 or 3 years. That changes everything. That gives Luka his 3rd star in waiting. That gives the Lakers a weapon they don't currently have. And here's the other thing everyone is paying attention to: Luka Doncic's contract situation. He can hit free agency after the 2027-28 season. That's 2 years from now. 2 years. If the Lakers don't show Luka that they're building a legitimate championship contender around him, there is no guarantee he stays. He could walk. He could go somewhere else. He could follow LeBron out the door, and then the Lakers are in the most painful possible position, having paid massive money for Kessler and Reeves and having nothing to show for it because their franchise cornerstone left. Everything the Lakers are doing right now, the Kessler trade, the Reeves extension, the pursuit of Kuminga, is about sending one clear message to Luka Doncic: we are building this for you. The NBA waits for no one. Not even the Los Angeles Lakers. So here we are. July 11, 2026. The summer's sun blazing. Free agency in full swing. The most famous basketball team in the world trying to put together the right combination of pieces around their new franchise star. Will it be Jonathan Kuminga? The 23-year-old from the Democratic Republic of the Congo who won a championship as a teenager, who's been traded once already, who's finally free for the first time in his career and being pursued by multiple teams, with the Lakers at the front of the line but struggling to match his price? Will it be DeMar DeRozan? The 17-year veteran from Compton who's scored more points than almost anyone alive today, who was just released by a team that went 22-60 and couldn't find a trade partner for him, who's now looking for one last run at something meaningful before the clock runs out. Or will it be someone we're not even talking about right now? Some unexpected move that comes out of nowhere, the way so many NBA blockbusters do? That's the thing about this league. The story is never over until it's over. The deal never closes until it's announced. The player never signs until the pen hits the paper. What we know right now, what's been confirmed, what's been reported by the most reliable people in the business, is that the Lakers want Kuminga. The Hawks are willing to work with them on a sign and trade. The money is the problem. DeRozan is waiting in the wings. And in the background, LeBron James is somehow still unsigned, still choosing his final destination, still capable of reshaping the entire free agency market with a single decision. This is the NBA offseason in 2026. It's beautiful. It's chaotic. It's completely unpredictable. And it's about to get even more dramatic before it's done. Stay locked in. Because whatever happens next with the Lakers, whatever the final answer is on Kuminga, on DeRozan, on this roster that's trying to become something real in the post-LeBron era, it's going to be one of the most important storylines of the entire basketball year. This is the beginning of a new chapter for the purple and gold. And chapters are always most exciting at the moment when everything is still possible. When the outcome is still uncertain. When the future is still unwritten. Right now, in this exact moment, everything is still possible for the Los Angeles Lakers.